I don't really even know anymore what's going on at this point. I have no idea. You're listening to the Tahal and Back podcast, proudly sponsored by Zoological Bar and Kingfisher Fish and Chips in Hull. Didn't we do this last year? We had to do a stupid emergency podcast after Arjun sacked a young up-and-coming manager who, and this time, technically even worse, that achieved their goal. And we're going to be going through the exact same thing as we did last year. We're going to gut the team, get a worse squad, probably bring in a manager with no championship experience, and we're going to then bring in another manager 6 months from now who will try and save the season, that, actually knows the league, probably another young up-and-comer like a Rubén, like a Liam, and then, just repeat the cycle again and again and again.
Dare I say, as good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Hull and Back podcast, proudly sponsored by Zoological Bar and Kingfisher Fish and Chips in Hull.
I just did that.
Dare I say, those who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it.
I have a degree in history, and I agree with that.
Look, let's not beat around the bush. It's a fucking mental decision. There we go.
11 comments already in a minute.
So, which club do we think Rubén Sellés is going to take into Europe next season?
Not Man United.
I'm going to go with Espanyol.
Yeah, that's a reasonable shout. Could be anyone, couldn't it?
Royal Union Saint-Gilloise.
Yeah, Joe, you've already introduced yourself. We've got Will, Cristian, and Tom on for the first time. Of course, audio listeners, you will not be able to see Tom's absolutely beautiful background that he's got. So, Tom, do you want to just explain what on earth monstrosity you've created?
Within Meme Generator in the last 10 minutes prior to going live, I've created the graveyard of managers of Arjun. So on my left, I have the good, me, the ugly in the middle, I suppose, and on the right, we've got the bad. Or whichever way you look at it. The good is Liam, Rubén, and Grant. I know that last bit's probably quite controversial for some. And then on the bad, we've got Tim and Shotter.
We already have a comment in Will saying Rubén Sellés hasn't gone. He has, hasn't he?
He has.
Definitely.
It's just the only thing we're waiting for is the club to officially confirm it, which, to be quite honest, we are now at just gone 7 o'clock on the day that it was reported to be actually happening, and he's still not announced it, which, in my opinion, is an incredibly disrespectful way to be treating the situation, both from the point of the club itself, from the point of the man himself, because why is Rubén being subjected to all these essentially what is essentially being called rumour, but he knows the truth, but why is he not being given sort of the peace of mind that it's confirmed, and then the fans themselves not being allowed to actually just get on with it and just keeping them in the dark, essentially. But he has gone, and it's an absolutely fucking shit show.
Yes. Well said. Well said. Cristian, we've heard about this since about probably even an hour after the Portsmouth game. Do you think it's ridiculous that it's been a few weeks and we still don't know? Can we hear you, Cristian?
I think you're muted, Cristian.
Am I back?
You're back.
You are.
Oh, we're back. Sorry.
You're that angry we couldn't actually hear you.
Do you know what? I'm muting myself up so I didn't say anything stupid, if I'm honest with you.
I am here.
I'm at that time. It's like within those few weeks after the Portsmouth game, and obviously it was rumoured out. Look, today was the expected day. We all said Thursday. It was announced it's going to be today. Obviously, the club hasn't come about yet. Anything after Portsmouth in between that gap, I don't know if you guys were in the same boat as me and every other fan that's watching us right now. I was just hoping it was all BS.
Mm-hmm.
Or Arjun came to his senses and realised, you know what? He did do his job that he was set out to do with an absolutely piss-poor team, because he a threadbare piss-poor team, because he absolutely destroyed that team. I'm not just saying like from Liam Senior. Look, everyone's heard me say it before. Those that you're watching for the first time, I'll rant on forever about this, but Even before Liam Rossini was in with respect to the team, we were a lone club. We didn't have foundations. We didn't have solid players. All right, we had 3 or 4 where we could look at Louis Coyle and things like that. But look at Louis Coyle this season. He was a broken man after the man that shall not be named by me, the German, because it was that last game that literally broke Louis Coyle, one of the long foundation players, and that was generally it. So when you've got those players that aren't stepping up anymore, and the players around them just didn't have a Scooby-Doo what was going on because of the stupid style of football, you've got to look at what Rubén did, man management-wise and mentality-wise, and absolutely respect what he's done for the club and actually got football playing again. Yes, all right, it wasn't pretty. Yes, all right, after the international break, there was only 1 deflected goal in. Yes. Mm-hmm. But did he do his job? Yes. Should you give someone like that the time to actually cement a bit of time down? Of course you should give him time, because if he's coming to an absolute shit show fucking mess that we've just witnessed, then look at it right now. Like, he's done a great job to turn it around. He's done an absolutely brilliant job. I'm not looking forward to this little comment coming up. But right now, it's ridiculous. I don't know who you're going to get in right now to get where we're going to go, because I'm sorry, gents, but if you're like me, I can't be doing with another 3, 4, 5 weeks wait to appoint a manager and then scramble together at the end of the transfer market, still trying to get a bloody striker or left back again. Because if they're going to go through that, it's ridiculous. So
it's the fact that Baz has said again, we expect this to get done quickly, and how many times have we heard that before?
Yeah. Like, we heard the same thing last summer, Tom. Exactly the same thing last summer, that they wanted a quick appointment. Rubbish. But when they sacked Liam Rossini, because it was one man who acted off his own volition and his own brain, whatever that might be, we didn't have a list of targets, and that's how we ended up with Tim Walter. We should have a list of targets this time, but can you seriously expect?
Why would any manager want to come here other than for a payout?
Exactly what I was going to go on to say. Can you expect some of the names that have been sounded out? Rob Edwards, Miron Muslic, Gary O'Neill, managers with experience and skin in the English game, to want to come into this football club, know that they can do well, do what they're there to do what the pre-season aim was to do, or what the aim was to do when they were appointed, and still get sacked. No manager with any sense will touch it. And you can see exactly how this is going to go. And I've said this to a couple of my mates today. The appointment takes a couple of weeks, and it's some foreign no-name who we've never heard of, who was never managed in England before. We signed Zambrano, and only Zambrano, in June and early July. We get another 1 or 2 in before the end of July. A late plunge into the transfer market because we just simply need players. A key player is
up again, just to fill a spot.
He's got a 1-year option, apparently.
He has. We then sell a key player in a key position with no replacement lined up. Players hate the new manager because he's shit. Fans hate the new manager because we don't win. And he inevitably gets sacked in late November, early December. Have we read that book before by any chance?
Yeah.
What did I say? Those who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it. And we're going to have the exact same thing with Q&A number 674 in 3 weeks' time, or whenever it's going to be.
There's no way that's going to be a free event, a free and open event. I've been, I think, to pretty much every single one of them, bar maybe one. The one last year after the Liam sacking, I've never seen anything like it. I think it will be different this time. I think there's a lot more people against this sacking than there was. With Liam, it felt 50-50-ish.
Yep.
This time, if you look on Twitter or anywhere, it seems to be 90% are against this. And then there's some people who I think are right in saying that maybe the football wasn't great under Sellés. And I agree with that. It wasn't towards the end, but we're going through history. We're going through the same thing again.
Yeah, we are. And
The-
what Foxy just said. Let's go on, Will. Go on, Will.
The football style should not matter when you're in a relegation fight with a team that's half injured. It
No,
should be
shouldn't.
about consolidating, getting the results that you need to get and staying up, and then pushing on the following season. That's the problem that Adrian seems to not think is possible. He seems to think that you can instantly change a side and make a side really attractive for football to watch, but he doesn't understand that it takes time to do that.
Or he did under Liam Rosenior, but then he decided, nah, I want instant success. And you don't get instant success in the Championship. The style of play argument is bonkers because, one, he appointed Jose fucking Mourinho to Fenerbahce, the most boring man in the world. And, Rosie, Rubén, compare that to Tim Walter. I saw a comment in chat from Coxey. He was willing to stick with Tim Walter's style of play.
That's what I was
the
bring up.
most insane part about it.
Nope.
Crazy.
He's had problems with styles before, but he didn't have a problem with the style of the lot of them that was most terrible and least effective at getting results. You give Rubén a pre-season to implement his proper style, the sort of football he was brought in to play, then next
Maybe one
season we're
good
looking at
striker.
a totally different team.
Based on Adrian's own logic, he'd be sacking Scott Parker.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Good heavens.
Yes. Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah, absolutely
would've
right.
sold
Well, and
Burnley.
that's the stupidity. Yeah, you would have got rid of Burnley because it wasn't, going that way. Got rid of Scott Parker. Just look, I'm not one of these people that are on the Adrian out train yet. I'm not. I actually still have that bit of faith that is going to come in clutch, but that faith is about that big.
Would you
It's
take
not that
Mourinho? Because Fenerbahce will want rid of him.
No, I wouldn't.
I wouldn't
It sounds
I don't
crazy.
think he'd want to be here anyway.
One, he
No,
wouldn't come.
obviously.
Two, he doesn't have any money to spend. Three, he just doesn't really give a. He's been there, done that, and he wouldn't come down to a lower league. He wouldn't
No,
really
but
give a crap.
hypothetically, not a
Yeah,
serious
he wouldn't
suggestion. at
care.
all.
No, but that's why I wouldn't want him because he wouldn't care.
Well, no, I think Adrian would happily have him at Hull City purely because he's a media man. Adrian's a media man. He'll want someone who
Adrian
creates.
have him.
Yeah, exactly. Adrian would absolutely have him at City because he's a media man. He'll create headlines. He'll create what he considers no press is bad press. So he would consider it a good thing no matter what.
Isn't one of Mourinho's I may have misheard this, but I saw Mourinho say in the press that Fenerbahce is the most corrupt club he's ever been at.
Yeah.
And Adrian's a part of that. I don't think. I mean, Mourinho's probably seeing it out in the sense that he's probably going to see out the season. I don't think he'd go to another club run by Adrian. On that basis, that's just a good.
That follows on from the argument that why would any sensible manager come to a club run by Adrian at the moment? Unless you're essentially looking for a quick buck.
Well, look again at the name that was sounded out in the week, Arda Turan. Has he done anything remotely like Championship football in his so far young managerial career? No. He's got Eyüpspor promoted from the Turkish second tier, and they're currently sat sixth in the league. Cool. Good for him.
Wow.
But Shotar Arveladze got Kashim Pasha into Europe. That clearly doesn't mean anything.
Also, screw Arda Turan is a horrible human being. I don't want him anywhere near the club.
Criminal.
He hasn't, like as Scott says, he is an absolute thug. But
you take a gun into a hospital.
Barcelona. He's played for Barcelona, so
he's played
getting
for Barcelona.
him the right name.
He's not managed Barcelona, though, has he?
Yeah, but he's played for him. That's enough. Shotar Arveladze's played for Rangers and Ajax. That was clearly enough there.
Oh, dear.
It's hard work being Hull City fan, isn't it? It seriously drains me. Like, I mean, I had an inkling all this was going to kick off anyway after a tweet posted last night by, oh God, I forgot his name, goalkeeping coach.
Barry Richardson. Oh, no, Aircut, sorry.
Aircut, yeah, he posted something last night saying, "Oh, that's the season to the end with Hull City," and that was me already knowing. So I have a feeling they've known since yesterday.
I think they've known for longer.
Well, yeah, probably a bit longer, but I think it was official to them last night.
Be interesting to see why Rubén went to the Wickham game then. If you assume he knew about then, and I'm assuming it wasn't to look at Simons.
I think it was purely he was going through appointments he already had. He was still technically manager, so he was still doing his job like a professional.
Maybe I just like to.
I don't want to
like
point all the finger at Adrian at the moment either, if I'm being honest, because I'm surely like Jared Dublin has a bit of earwigging to go off on this as well.
Well, no, go on. Sorry.
No. I was just going to say because obviously he's experienced. He knows the Championship. Surely he must understand stability more than anybody else. And yet.
Sorry, I keep interrupting you. Sorry.
No, go on, Tom. Go on.
You look at that meeting that's supposedly gone down, and it's 4 people. You've got Adjan and Mustafa Yokes, and you've got Jared, and you've got a new hire. Whoever's brought him in, I'm not sure if it's Adjan or Jared or
a combination
Mustafa.
of the two, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
I think it was sounded out by Jared Dublin.
Again, putting a bit of a tinfoil hat on here, I appreciate that, but you would think. You've got 2 people immediately right there, and Mustafa and Adjan, that are probably going to be on the same page. That, let's get rid of the guy that's not done particularly well towards the end. You've got Jared, who I imagine, probably knowing his background, has gone it from a data point of view, and maybe, like that comment's just said, is maybe a yes man. I don't know.
It probably is a yes man. Sorry.
Maybe
you have to be employed by Adjan, because anything other than that, they'll sack you. So.
Yeah, and how much does Hodge have a say coming in with a month?
This is a point, though. How much say do we think Jared Dublin had? Because we all see him as the one who actually knows how football works in a key role at the football club after Tan left and we, had the restructure. But if he's agreed and said yes to this, doesn't that make him just as culpable as Adjan for a decision that we all know is fundamentally wrong? I wonder what role Martin Hodge has had to play in this. Someone who also knows English football inside and out as a player, as a coach, and at boardroom level.
Scout. Yeah.
So we don't yet know how much of a role they have had to play. And in which case, if they've all agreed that, yes, removing Rubén Sellés is the right thing to do, then you're just as bad as Adjan, because you two are meant to be the ones with a bit of brain, a bit of footballing know-how in there. Mustafa is Adjan's right-hand man, and he's been there since the very start, in the same way that Mertan Adjel has, in the same way that Tan Kessler was, the same way that Berry Pardo was from very early as well. But you're trying to put logic into the mind of a man in Adjan who clearly doesn't use logic. You're trying to apply logic to a situation that is wholly irrational in most cases, like sacking Liam Rosenior was. So it's a complete sort of, it's mental gymnastics that we have to try to do to get into the mindset of Adjan. And it defies logic for me how anyone can still trust and back and defend Adjan to get it right this time. What evidence is there to say he will get it right this time? Because even when he does, he tears it up. The things he's got right in terms of ticket pricing, attendance, the food, merchandise, cool, nice. I love myself a Kappa tracksuit. But when it actually comes to on-pitch decisions, he needs to stay away, because that is ultimately what defines a football owner. Not how many tracksuit tops they sell, and whether one's gold, one's full black, one's got a bit of retro on it, one's all amber, whatever. What defines an owner, in Adjan's case, is sacking Liam Rosenior and what's followed that. Now he's making another decision on a manager who knows the English game and who the players like and fans like.
You can make an argument, I wouldn't personally, but we saw it really. We saw it before he sat Liam, because
Yeah,
I remember a time when he's not my favourite manager, but Grant McCann was doing a good job at the time that the club was being taken over. And he decided the moment he came in, Adjun, he wasn't going to give him essentially a chance, and he got rid of him and replaced him with Shota. Straight away, he gave the idea of, essentially, he gave away what he was going to do straight away. It just wasn't, because it's the first moment, you don't really treat it as such at the time. And it's not just that. It's like when he got first announced, Adjun, so when Sayers first got announced as the manager and they had the press conference, Adjun said, verbatim, Ruben's ambition aligns with ours. His passion and enthusiasm shone through in our meetings. We share similar ideas of how we want football to be played.
And he said that
And
with
now,
Rossini.
apparently, the
wanted
reason he wants to
Rossini.
get rid of him is because of a style of football. Now, that
just
reads to me
rubbish.
as complete and utter fucking horseshit.
It's rubbish.
I mean,
We all
how many
know.
non-parachute teams go up playing? I mean, Ipswich aside, they are an anomaly.
Ipswich and Luton.
But Luton didn't play attractive football.
Well, not necessarily.
Under Nathan Jones, I remember them coming here winning 3-0. It was, I think, it was the game after Shota got
I don't think
sacked.
it matters. It doesn't matter about style of football, in my opinion. It matters about what is the best way to play with the players you have got. It shouldn't matter whether it's positive or negative football. It's all about results. It's a results business. He should know that, and he should create a team that's good enough to get those results regardless of the style of play. The style of play should be sacrificed at the option of results.
Well, Burnley
He
don't
decided
play
to
good football.
sacrifice results for footballing style, and that is the sort of thing that gets you in the shit.
The marquee win under Liam Rossini, other than maybe the Southampton game, was a Leicester 1-0 away, a win away, and I've never seen us play as back to the wall in that under Rossini and in any other game. Like, we never really did. It was, and yet I would hold that up as like one of the best away days I've been to, and one of the best performances since COVID, probably, at the club.
When you consider the caliber of the opposition, what they went on to achieve.
Yeah, 100%. And it was the win that probably made us believe that we could maybe do something this year. And I wouldn't say that was a great performance.
Any of that? Sorry, Tom. No, this year, nah.
Sorry, not this year. Last year. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. But that's right.
Sorry, yeah, that's a Freudian slip. But like that was the time where it was like, well, maybe we got a chance because I don't think, apart from the Delap shot, we never really threatened them, and they didn't threaten us.
But if that was a playoff final, you'd take that, wouldn't you?
Oh, 100%. I mean, look at Sunderland. Like, they were dominated over 2 legs. I'd rather be Sunderland right now than Coventry.
It feels to me that Adjun definitely has a profile of manager. He wants to be able to prove people wrong, do it his own way, and then he realizes he needs someone who actually knows what they're doing, like a Rossini, like a Rubén. And then he's like, "Oh, thanks for doing what we needed to do to keep us up both seasons, but I don't want you anymore. I want exactly the sort of manager I want, even if it's not in the best interests of the club."
And we paid compensation to get that manager. I don't know how much it was.
Jesus.
Not a waste.
That counts towards FFP. I know it's probably not a great deal, but it counts.
When you're already losing $500,000 a week and you're already 60 million in debt at the very least, decide to sack another manager to pay off a 2.5-year contract you gave him in December is never a good look.
It's silly. And to my knowledge, looking at FFP, those losses are closer to £600,000 a week now, possibly over that. That's the figures
that's based
that
on the last accounts which are old. All accounts are always well out of date when they come out.
I mean, one thing sorry, go on.
They're the most sort of up to date numbers I've been made aware of a couple of weeks ago. But just quickly, a word from me on Rubén, James Oliver Pearson, Toby Loveland as people, because there are people behind this decision. A lot has been made of the fact Rubén was without his family for his entire stint here. For me, that moment on the pitch at Portsmouth when he had his son on FaceTime and they were talking to each other, saying that he congratulating. He was congratulating his dad on staying up and staying in the division and doing a good job. And there are people here, and to be honest, I think I feel more for James Oliver Pierce and Toby Loveland than I do Rubén, because those two are just normal blokes. They're not ex-players. They're not high-profile coaches like an Arsenal set-piece coach who'll be paid very, very handsomely. They'll still be paid well, don't get me wrong, and they'll have a nice payoff. But, it's their livelihoods that we're talking about here. And they're all three of them. They're really, really good people. Rubén's really, really pleasant to speak to sit with in a presser. Me and Will can both testify.
Rubén's lovely.
And I don't doubt for a second that, like Liam Rosenior has done, Rubén Sellés will get another job and absolutely smash it, because he is a very, very, very good manager, young manager with plenty of time to hone his skills, develop his style of play, develop his ideas. And he'll be back at the MKM Stadium with another championship club next season. I have
QPR,
no doubt.
I bet.
Now they've got new owners, he should go back to Reading.
Yeah. Would they want him back?
Yeah.
Genuinely, they've done all right without him. Like, I'm not saying they would have done worse with him, but
well, he had time to set up foundations from, didn't he, Tom? That's
Yeah.
the problem. He had time to set up the foundations to keep them that way. So
yeah,
He just
Anybody
set up
who come in.
foundations in a club that was completely in the absolute bin.
crazy.
I think he'll be at QPR. That's my bet.
It's probably not a bad
That's what I
show.
would put money on.
Hmm.
It feels in the same mold as Cifuentes. Like, and obviously I'm making that lazy connection because he's Spanish, but
He's
it
also
just-
got very good odds of the West Brom job too.
yeah, that's another shout. Norwich, West Brom, or QPR are obviously the candidates because they're the only ones.
And it
Right,
follows on
managers.
from that tracks from the whole Corberan thing as well.
Corberan's done an amazing job since going to Valencia. They're almost in
Well,
Europe.
they
Although,
both
to be
say
fair,
and Corberan are from Valencia.
yeah,
They both
Yeah.
have come. They have very
And they work
similar
together.
styles. It makes perfect sense for him to go and carry on with West Brom what they already had.
it's an odd season in Spain though. The team in a 13th can still get into Europe. I think it's crazy. But,
I know that would never happen in the
Not a
Premier League,
championship.
would it?
Yeah.
Well, it's pretty similar to that, to be fair, this year. That's a different thing. Up until Fulham lost the other day. Who would we want as manager? I think Tom Cleverley is top of the list. We've got Philip Cocu.
Philip
Cocu.
Cocu, absolutely not.
Cocu.
Was at Derby. Of course, Arda Turan was linked, but it won't be him. Tony Mowbray.
Honestly, I don't know who I'd want as manager because at the moment I don't know what the state the club's in.
I want
No,
Liam
Ralph
Rosenior back.
Hasenhüttl.
I just want Liam back. Yeah, just want Liam back.
Yeah, ideally.
Yeah. Although we
I
get
mean-
sacked, wouldn't we?
Will, you and I spoke about something Adjan said to TalkSport about Liam Rosenior over message a few weeks ago.
Yeah, he said it almost straight after the Portsmouth game, which I found interesting. He had time to talk to TalkSport straight away, but he's still dodging Radio Humberside for an interview.
Yeah, it's interesting that. He said, I want people to understand that I said when Liam left us that he would be a top coach, and I've been proven right in that. He's still a friend. We talk to him every month or so. Spoke to him last week. He's doing really well. He's proved me right. I'm sorry, but
Proves you
you
wrong.
cannot say all that and then in the same breath also say to Alex Crook, I don't regret it though. Are you
It's
mental?
insane.
Finished
Insane
21st this
comment to
season.
make.
Evidence that he just is a marketing and media person.
Yeah.
It's evidence he's a lad.
It suggests he's too trigger happy as well.
He's a gambler.
Well,
He's
did you
just a
make it?
gambler to get anything that will give media and marketing towards him that he can use. That's all it is. All this to him is just extra money for his media outlet, by the looks of it at the moment, because no way is he actually running a football club the right. Like you said, Joe, earlier on, got the fans in, sorted the food out, the ground, the merchandise. He had the fans doing these Tiger travels and things like that. He's had all of that. That's brilliant for marketing. Then you've just stated, no, he's avoiding Radio Ambassad, but he'll go on Talk Sport in 2 seconds because it's a bigger media outlet. So he can put himself out there. So it's just proof that he's only out there for the marketing and media side of things.
It's also
there's
proof
no
he's
legacy
a liar.
to this.
It's also proof he's a liar because you cannot say all that and also say, I don't regret sacking him. And the fact he's willing to lie so blatantly like that, as Will and I discussed privately the other day, just shows that he is absolutely willing to do it again. And Will, you called it then, and you were absolutely right. Rubén was already gone when that came out in the press.
100%. I think Baz had mentioned it in the 1904 podcast earlier today. He had said about it seems like it had been a decision that was already decided before the Portsmouth game, even.
Yeah, after the Derby game.
Yeah, not
I think the Derby game was the breaking point.
How do they not have plans to replace him if they've been planning this since before the end of the season?
Because they didn't have plans to replace Liam.
There's no fucking coherency. Pardon my French.
He sacked Liam on the 8th of May. Tim wasn't manager until the 31st.
Well, Tim wasn't even first choice, if you believe rumours.
No one. And he openly said he was happy to throw away August, a month that, had we treated seriously, we may have been nowhere near a relegation fight come May.
And Tim didn't even technically start until the 1st of July. Would you not?
Oh, yeah, that's true, yeah.
I get it for contractual reasons or whatever, but would you not have a manager in post working with you to try and get some recruitment?
And then didn't really get many transfers in until towards the end of that window on top of that.
Because he kept rejecting all the players Adrian offered, didn't he? That's what he said.
Apparently. I'd be really intrigued to see the list of the rejections.
Yeah. I've got a feeling none of the players wanted to come after the second of Liam Rosenior, to be honest. Because every player thought it was crazy.
Terry said he didn't believe in the project anymore.
We burned a lot of relationships with that.
Yeah, that completely ruined our reputation.
What's it going to be now? That's a big concern as well. Look at our reputation now.
We won't get Barry back.
A few people have said it. We are the Watford of the North, as it stands.
I think we're worse, Will. Honest to God.
We are technically. If you go by, you just judge it purely on managers from the moment Adjun took over to now, from the moment the Pozzos took over to now. We're at a faster rate of manager changing.
Yeah.
As it stands.
They've
just done it for longer. That's the only difference. They've done it for longer, but we're doing it faster.
They've had higher finishes in the Premier League and Championship than us as well. And spent less money probably in a better financial situation than we are.
Genuinely, what's going to be the legacy of all this? Because it's evident from me, and I think a few people.
That's what.
Yeah, exactly.
Disaster.
Yeah.
The evidence was that it's promotion or bust, and I get that from a perspective. And I've mentioned it a few times in various different platforms. It's like the academy is the thing that's allowed Adjun to spend as much as he has due to FFP. Because we sold Keane Lewis Potter. That was one of the reasons that he came in, was that our FFP credit account, if you want to call it, was so good. We sold KLP. We used that money craply. We've sold Jacob Greaves. At the moment, I think it's left to be seen. There's some good players. I think Bellumi, Miller, and Hughes are actually, and Matazo are decent signings.
There's a decent spine to the team. There's a decent spine to the team that he's working on. And you know what would actually have helped? Maybe having a manager who was already working with them for several months, then have a full summer working with them. That could have helped.
Exactly. But if we don't go up and say the toys get thrown out the pram, the legacy is going to be however much debt we're going to be in. We're going to be in the same position the Allens left us in terms of league status. And the academies that had no improvement, nor is the infrastructure. And I get the building of stuff around the MKM is a long and arduous battle that plenty owners have gone through.
That is something the club should not be focusing on at all at the moment.
No, but they should be, not right now, but in terms of over time, Adjun should have been putting money that from Greaves and Lewis Potter back into the academy to get the next one, because a club our size without parachute payments are relying on stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like Birmingham's owners have come in. Yeah, they've put a load of money into it. I get them richer than God, but they've put money into the academy and made it Cat 1. They've seen that. They know that that's the legacy that needs to be left for when Knighthead Group leave Birmingham City.
FFP, that's where you get your money. You sell your...
FFP doesn't account in League One, which also helped massively on that one.
Yeah, but
for a while.
The rule of thumb generally applies. Like, you sell the academy players, it's pure profit.
Yeah.
It's stupid.
As someone just said, we're actually in a worse position technically than we were under the Allams, because the Allams left us with zero debt. We are now well outside of that.
And we had assets to sell.
I think the Allams were horrible. They were horrible owners, and they did not care for the fans. They hated the fans. They hated them more than any long time. But the difference is, the thing with them is, while they were horrible owners, they had the business nous and the business sense to make the club stable, even in their complete apathy of running it, enough so that it didn't bite them on the ass from a financial point of view.
Mm-hmm. They had some logic. Adrian has no logic. You might have more money and spend more, but it's
I don't think he
dangerous.
Does.
Yeah,
the Allams weren't rich.
I mean, he's put more money into the club, but that is more dangerous if you don't put it in well, because at the very least, quite rightly, the Allams were business people, and though we went down to League One, we came straight back up. We had Lewis Potter, we had Greaves to sell because they'd invested in the academy, whereas a lot of the players, the vast majority of players, however many is it now, 63, probably going to go up to about close to 90 by the end of this season. How many of those are you going to make a profit on it? It's very few, and people
very
like
few. And those players that we will make a profit on are the ones who know that they're coming here because it's a stepping stone, right? Yeah. And Adrian, in actively admitting that to the public, he has destroyed because obviously he meant saying we want players to move on, use us, whatever, in a Brighton, Brentford kind of model. But what they do is they drive a hard bargain for players who they can make a profit on, who they end up letting go. Moises Caicedo, I said this a few weeks ago. When Brighton sold him, they could have just gone easy, right? We can get 75 million for him right at the start of the window. Boom, let's have it. But
I do remember,
and they got 110 million for him from Chelsea.
I remember at the end in last summer after we'd sold, I do remember the rumor was, in terms of Greaves and Philogene, he wanted somewhere around on an average, somewhere around like at least 20 million for each if he could get it.
He said that himself.
They went for a combined 30 million.
He said he wouldn't take 30 million
to Philogene because of the buybacks. Yeah, sorry, Joe.
Yeah. And
he said publicly he wouldn't accept less than 30 million euros for Jadon Philogene. That ended up being about 25 million pounds when you do the sort of currency exchange. And that was the same price that he would have wanted for Jacob Greaves as well. But instead he sold them early, about 18 million for Greaves. After Aston Villa played their 4D chess, 12.5 for Jadon Philogene. What sort of business model is that? Selling your best players for under their market value so that you can get your business done early and have some money to spend, then don't do business early and don't spend money. And then we did slapdash late in the window. Yes, we ended up with players like Balumi, but we also ended up with players like Chris Badia. So the whole thing is bonkers. And
very sharp.
Look, whatever happens under Adrian, it's going to be a ride. And
Giles.
Well, the other week, Will and I, Chris and Nathaniel, we were on the podcast after the Swansea game, and we all were in agreement that not going down would just delay the inevitable, and the same mistakes would be repeated. You used those exact words, Will. I was listening to
the point I made was if we stay up, the club won't change its culture, but it'll be financially a bit better off. But if we go down, we'll be financially a lot worse off. But he might have changed the culture, but that's obviously an if. I always thought that staying up would be a case of Adjun would be happy we've stayed up and he just carry on as is, and it's annoying that
it feels like he's got a second chance to do the same nonsense.
And when will you use the words delaying the inevitable, and we all said the same mistakes will eventually be made again, we didn't expect it, or I certainly didn't anyway, to be so soon. Because as I was listening back to it, I said the phrase, there's a cultural problem at the top of the football club or something along those lines. I didn't expect it to be laid so bare so quickly at the end of the season. And look, here we are. And whoever comes in, good luck. You're going to need it. And
we still technically had the official announcement. And watch it just turn out Adjun is using his burner account and he decided, oh shit, I've made a mistake. Quick, ring Rubén.
What was it?
Adjun is topping a mask.
I listen to the fans and respect what they say, and I will try and go from what the fans say.
Well, apparently the reason he got rid of Walter when he did was because of the fans' reaction.
Oh, look at the reaction now he's getting.
That night against Sheffield Wednesday, he went on Radio Humberside before the game and he said he wasn't going to sack him, and it was the fans' reaction that essentially got him sacked. Now, I don't understand why it works that way around, but then it's got to the end of the season. The fans post-season have said, some of the fans have been like, fair enough, some fans have been like, we don't want to keep him around, but we want stability. That is the main aim. We want stability. Maybe I'm not a big fan of Rubén, but we want to keep the team stable. We need to go forward and we need to move forward. But no, he's ignored that regardless, and he's just, it seems, just shit the bed.
Did this last year. We've done it already.
Hopefully what happens is he's like the Allams did after sacking Barmby, who was a fan favourite at the time. Maybe the levels are different, but when he sacked him, there was quite a bit of outcry. But then he replaced. It turned out he got a fucking gem of a replacement, and in Steve Bruce, that could happen again with Adjun, for all we know. But at this current moment in time, you can't base it on that hypothetical. You have to assume at the moment we're in trouble.
You have to go by the body of work we've already got, don't you? And I said that exact thing last year. If he gets the replacement right, fine. But I don't trust him after Tim Walter to get that replacement right. And therefore, I am immediately against this sacking. And if I'm proven wrong in a year and we've got a manager who gets us in the playoffs, whatever, cool, don't care. This, at this time, is still the wrong thing to do. Sacking Liam Rosenior a year ago was and always will have been the wrong thing to do.
Dreadful decision.
Something that I've got in front of me, and come back to this tomorrow, everyone, because I have got in front of me the statement that the club put out when Liam Rosenior got sacked. And let's have a look at the language Adjun uses here and compare it to what he says tomorrow, or whenever this official statement comes out from the club.
Yeah.
This has been the most difficult decision I have had to make as chairman of this wonderful football club. No matter how trying the circumstance, I have to remove personal sentiment from these moments and ensure long-term vision of the club is at the centre of my thinking. Since Liam's arrival, we have enjoyed an open working relationship, and progress has undoubtedly been made over the course of his tenure. He will always be part of this family, and I thank him for all his work. However, it has become evident that our visions for the future are not aligned, and I feel that now this is the time to make a change. Our philosophy is clear. We will continue to drive this club forward, and whilst doing so, I will continue to be open and transparent with our fans. I know what this football club can achieve, and we will not stop in the pursuit of that.
League One.
We have worked hard over the last 2 years to develop our squad. We now have many highly talented players at our disposal.
Which
we
will
continue to invest and improve our playing personnel to give this club and its fans the success they deserve. Most of it, looking back, is barefaced bullshit.
Yes.
And I think we can safely say that the same PR-friendly nonsense will be exactly what gets typed up by whoever's doing the work at Hull City and put out into the universe tomorrow at some time on the hour.
On that note,
a late April Fools. You know, they're just going to say, we're joking. We had you all. Ruben's not going anywhere.
Can I just say, I've seen a lot of other comments. Rubén Sellés has been sacked. I mean, Joe and Will especially, you're in the know. And
technically, it's still alleged. Technically, it's still allegedly, but it's happened.
Yes.
It's a matter of time. We're just waiting.
From a legal standpoint, it is currently allegedly.
Well, I don't have any links to the club. I don't care.
Bag of salt.
Yeah.
To the point of transparency and openness, though, how much do we want to bet that the alleged Q&A that Will mentioned to me on Twitter earlier is happening? And obviously, how much do you want to bet that's a closed event rather than an open one this time around?
They should have been playing the questions anyway, because the questions that they have been asked to just be ridiculous.
No, Nathaniel. So supposedly, I've been told, but I wasn't sure about it until I saw that Baz had reported it this morning about the supposedly, it might not happen now because of the response. There supposedly was going to be announcing another Q&A at some point in the summer to sort of explain, similar to the Rossini one, to explain his decision making. Might still happen, might not happen. Not sure at this current point in time. If it does, firstly, I'm sick of these Q&As. You shouldn't be having to do so many Q&As for a start.
No.
But I am worried he will vet the questions, because if he vets the questions, I can absolutely see happening that he will vet any questions in regards to the running of the club itself, the decision making on Rubén, like in terms of going deeper into it than what he wants to say himself. So I don't think he'll want. I can see him being at a point where he'll just want questions about free trips to Turkey and joint passes for a Hull FC and Hull City.
What I want is
the development of the West Park stuff at Walton Street.
He has no clue about that. He has genuine no clue about the development of West Park.
No one does, to be honest. I don't think anyone does.
I asked that question when Tan was there, and he just deferred it to Tan with the famous fire alarm. It wouldn't surprise
me if when Tan departed, it just got put on the back burner completely.
1,000,000%.
But the last one, to your point, Will, I remember, was it the one where he did randomly during the middle of the day, 12:30?
Yes, I was there.
Yes,
you had to. If you wanted
11:31, he just did in the middle week. It was randomly announced it the night before.
If you wanted to go, you had to submit a question when you bought your ticket.
Yeah,
I remember.
Did we? I didn't submit any questions.
I remember it being on. There was one where you had to submit questions because we've had.
Yeah, you did.
It was after a couple.
I don't think they were ever going to get. I think it was just you had to put it down to prove that you actually wanted the ticket. I think is what it was, or a security fee.
There was definitely that because, like you said, like the two prior had been hoodwinked by absolute nut jobs going on about all sorts of weird stuff, and then there was some genuine questions that were
dangerous.
Well, yeah, dangerous. To be fair, looking back, was Dangerous Mike actually wrong? Like, does Dangerous Mike have like a recovery arc in this whole story?
It'll be interesting to see if he throws any players under the bus in this Q&A if it does happen.
That was the worst thing of it all for me. Like, that put a mark on the club for agents to be like, no. It's fair enough if you have criticism about Allsop and his performances. I think that's fair. But the way he threw Aaron Connolly under the bus genuinely made me disgusted that day because I'm looking back at it.
Allsop's performances out in public like that either. You're not a fan. You're the owner of the football club. You can vent that in private, sure. But
do it on your burner.
But you don't do it when the world is watching, the cameras are on you, and you've got a microphone in your hand and an audience of people in front of you.
You're supposed to be a PR person.
That's the way to do it. And the players is a really interesting point you make, Tom, because I think now when Charlie Hughes came out, and I listened to the interview he did with James Hogarth on BBC Radio Humberside, and he made very clear, Charlie Hughes, that the players liked Rubén, that he liked playing for Rubén, that he liked going into training every day, going into work every day, knowing he had a nice boss and that it was without question in that group of players that Rubén should keep his job. Do we see some sort of player revolt behind closed doors here? That's something I'm interested in. What does Louis Coyle, as the captain, say to club officials?
The fight, won't he?
I was going to say, it won't surprise you. Say that it wouldn't surprise me if that was the thing he used to throw someone on the bus, using Coyle as fighting in City Centre. Which, to be fair, he was defending his brother. He had nothing wrong with doing what he did.
If Adrian does that, it'll get torn apart.
Coyle and Slater have been the boo boys this year, you know, and like you say, like if he threw a local lad who, outside of his football performances, does probably more for the city than anyone on Twitter that complains about him combined, I think would be a very brave move.
I'd much rather have him as mayor. Sorry
No
to get
comment.
political, guys.
No comment whatsoever.
Yeah, I don't like fascists. Sorry to get political.
Most normal people.
My views don't represent the views of the Italian podcast.
No, they do on that one.
Well, they do really. They should do. Yeah, I think Colin Slater have been poor this year. I still feel like they have something to offer. And to be fair, considering they'll be here next year, we'll probably have to get used to them playing, considering the amount of players.
Slater might not be, if you believe rumours, to be fair.
Maybe, but then Alzate and Puerto are going to go. So if we sell Slater, we're playing Crooks and Palmer as a pivot. You know.
I mean, it all depends on who comes in, because if he does get it right, if he just happens to get it right, you never know. You might be able to convince some of these players to stick around.
Look, you know, Wrexham are going to be spending so much money. There's a certain wing back we could have off them. You know, just get the band back together. Sorry. I mean, James McLean.
This is why I've stayed muted.
53 minutes.
Oh, come on.
Bribed me. He bribed me to say nothing about Longman when I messaged him about joining.
Yeah, Ryan Giles will get a fresh slate. I mean, I hope not.
God,
Cristian, the floor is yours.
God.
The thing is, though, do we have to give players like that a clean slate? I'm not.
Well, if we don't get anybody in, we're going to have to. But
yeah,
I mean, to a point, I'm all for giving a player a second chance, but
he had his second chance at Middlesbrough, and they don't even want. They're not.
Yeah, but not with us.
Him, so.
That's the point. Yeah, but how a player plays elsewhere shouldn't really affect how he plays at the.
Well, no, you've got to think, Will. Look, I'm going to go on the Giles.
I still have him in the team.
Luton didn't want him. We had him, and we didn't want him. He's gone to Middlesbrough again. They didn't want him. And so coming back here, nah, he's not.
You have to wonder though if he thinks that this is last
watch
chance.
This space. Ryan Giles, player of the season, 25-26.
Don't even joke about that sort of thing.
Honest to God, if I am proven wrong, I would be so happy. I'd actually, go to his house and shine his shoes or whatever it needs to be done. Just
wash his car for him.
Wash his car for him. I will. Look, if he ends up being player of the season, I'll literally go to that guy's house. Give me your skidders and I'll put them in the laundry. It'll be that much, but no, I don't have that type of faith. Look, I'm just concerned with we're going to see look, it's already starting, but the exact repeat of the start of last season with management time frame, players coming in time frame, incorrect players time frame as well. Look, we all know players are leaving, as in end of contracts. What is
on that? We still haven't got the retained list, which is it feels quite late to have not done the retained
the deadline.
Pedro is gone, isn't he? Pedro's already said he's gone.
Said he was going. Yeah,
I think in the past they've already had it out by now.
Yeah,
last
most
couple
of them.
Years we've done it on the 18th, so we've done it on either the 17th or the 18th ever since the COVID year. So expect it, I would say, because the 18th is a Sunday. I'd expect, and the players have to be informed by Saturday by regulation. So expect it, I would say, Sunday to Tuesday next week.
Yeah.
Sinek's got a 1-year option as well. I keep seeing comments about Sinek, and he has a 1-year option.
No.
That's
player manager. Player manager.
No.
Do it.
No.
Do it.
No, I'm the
I'm
host.
just saying-
I'm using my host veto, Will. No.
Do it.
You've brought me on. I can say my
Hull
piece.
City 9, don't trigger it. Will says, other Will says, get Ryan Mason in. I mean, why not?
Why would we leave Tottenham? They're about to win a European trophy.
Oh, nah,
Probably just jinxed it.
neither team will win that Europa.
They've already lost it, the pair of them, with how they've got
Chin-
into it. So let's be honest.
Is it possible for
Genuinely,
two teams to lose a final?
The meteor strike, yeah.
Yeah.
You just die, yeah.
COVID breaks out
Genuinely,
again in the stadium.
Yeah. Out of the because we all want an experienced manager to justify this. Who is the experienced manager? Because I look at them and they're not.
None.
There's two names that I would be okay with, and that's probably Russell Martin. I don't think Adrian will go for that because he's senior on steroids.
Yeah, I've got it spot on.
Yeah,
Get
yeah,
Dolan back.
Or to be honest, it's an out there shout, but he was supposedly linked with Norwich, and it's Hassan Hüttl.
There's also
Well,
Pep Linders who has been linked with
I was
Norwich.
going to say, to be
Martin
fair, Norwich have
Norwich.
been linked with so many managers.
But
I've given up.
It shows that he's
The
available.
Championship are looking for a new manager, aren't they? Let's be honest.
Yeah.
You know who has just been sacked? Phil Brown.
Rubén Sellés?
Oh, yeah,
Please.
Phil Brown.
No. Second host
Never
veto
go
of
back.
the night.
Let's just go back through the list of all managers. Technically, Nigel Pearson, Phil Brown, and Nick Barmby are all available.
Well, yeah, so shall we go around
Bambi's
it?
no. Like, I would absolutely adore another Bambi run personally, but that's
Yeah.
just not happening.
Is there anyone out there at the moment who can go around the room, the virtual room, who would be your number one? You know, if you could pick anyone that probably would
Does it have to
ever
be
want come
realistic?
to- Yeah, of course it does, because obviously
checking.
you'd want Klopp.
How realistic?
That rules out about
that's
that rules out about 95% of managers who are free.
Well, it rules out anyone good, doesn't it?
99.99.
So, only Jesus Christ can save this club. Wow,
I think even he'd be struggling at this point.
Yeah.
If not Sayers, I want Rossini.
He's used to working within 3 days, though. So,
Oh, very good.
yeah.
Yeah, I think God would struggle though. He would have to use the 7th day to save Hull City Football Club.
Yeah. The only there's not experience per se.
Rob Edwards is on the list. I think that's an interesting one because I feel like most teams won't touch him with the barge pole because he's had a poor year with Luton. But then again, he's also had a
Maybe he needs a fresh
good
start.
years. Exactly, because I feel like it's very difficult to turn around a toxic club like Ruben did.
My worry is that the toxic club he was at Watford got rid of him. Yeah, I don't think he ever improved Luton. He just took what Nathan Jones put in.
I forgot that he was at Watford. Wow. Oh yeah.
Yeah, 3 months and then went to their arch rivals Luton and took them up.
Yeah, so Fuentes,
Lol.
Deitch is not going to be the Hull manager. He's going to be the Fenerbahce manager.
No chance
Plus,
over Danny
yeah.
Roy's off the Southampton.
Yeah.
A wayward shout considering they got knocked out yesterday is Challenor, but I don't think he'd do it.
Plymouth manager, take the Plymouth manager.
That was
Yeah,
the
good
name
job.
I was going to say. I was going to say Muslich. Purely because they went down. He might want to come back to the Championship. That's the pure only reason I think of it. But I
Edwards
say that he
issues.
might want to.
I want Big Sam.
And be happy to stay.
Well,
there.
you know,
Actually, I would take Big Sam.
Big Sam.
No,
I would
it's
take
just
Big Sam.
football.
For
Adrian,
always
you're
getting rid of
playing my
unrealistic
way.
ones.
I want Jussi Jaskalainen in goal,
Crooks up
James
front.
Collins at centre back, Kevin Nolan and Mark Noble in midfield,
Well,
Carlton Cole up top.
Sean, you've got the link for the podcast. Wow. I didn't even. It's not Joe doing impressions. Sean Deitch for the audio listeners.
I was going to
Sean
say
Deitch is
Warnock.
here.
Someone's
No.
just said it, but Warnock.
Third veto. No
Neil
Warnock.
Warnock.
One more season. from
Well, we'll need Warnock when he sacks the other guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good
yes,
point.
yes. It's more so the question, not who is going to be the next Hull City manager, but
Who's going to be brought in November to replace
Who's gonna
him?
be-
young
manager
and up-and-coming
after.
English manager is going to be hired in January. Yeah. Dean
I bet
Smith.
we're actually quite cyclical when we sack managers. I bet, like, if you actually looked at the dates, we're actually very on time. Like, Rossini and Ruben have been very on the similar date. I'd be interested to see when Shotter
days.
and Tim
8
got
days
sacked.
between them. For Shotter, he was, I think, the 30th of September, and Tim was 2 months later. So there's not a lot.
No, we gave Tim a bit more time then. Tim went overtime then. Okay.
Tim got way more time than he should have done.
He should have gone after Oxford.
That is the almost funny part of this, is that the managers who should have got more time got sacked, and the one who shouldn't have got more time did.
Yeah, Avalanche got
I guarantee he would be at the end of the season.
Stevie G's another one that I wouldn't touch.
No,
He's done well at one. He's done well at one club where the task is beat Celtic. That's it.
And it's pretty difficult, to be fair.
Oh, evidently, but
So one person who's done it in
He managed to turn a team he managed to get a team that's apparently good enough to get to the Champions League and the quarterfinals of the Champions League, and met them a relegation threat inside as well. You got to remember that on the side of Gerrard. He got sacked by a Saudi Arabian club for not doing well enough in Saudi Arabia.
And they don't care about results, do they? So
it will be some foreign unknown, because that's the only person that's going to touch it. Someone that can.
I've forgotten the name, but it's probably going to be it'll be someone like that Legia Warsaw manager.
that's the Legia Warsaw manager.
Yeah. Who's worked with a left back of ours, Rubén Sellés?
Might bring him back with him.
Rubén, bring the
Rubén
back. He's back. Rubén's back.
Just a different Rubén.
Gonçalo Feio is the Legia Warsaw manager.
David Wagner.
No.
Bad shout.
No.
Negative football, though, I feel. I just heard it was.
Only manager to get promoted on a negative goal difference.
Yeah.
Got to
Mike
remember,
Phelan says Tiger's Eye. Bold veto.
Who does positive football, technically, according to his own logic.
Pedro Martin.
Pedro Martins.
Again.
The sliding door moment.
Which managers play positive football?
Guardiola, Klopp,
are available.
No one plays exciting football, really, unless you're winning the league. Like,
Hansi Flick. That's about it.
Like, it's
Gareth Southgate.
Oh, I would actually love Gareth Southgate as manager.
Damn shame Brazil beat us to Ancelotti.
I'd like Southgate as a manager, just to see, just as an experiment. Like how much
what's even the point in even? You might as well.
0-0, 46 points.
Is the
Norwich's manager
Xabi Alonso going to Real Madrid yet? Is that too unrealistic?
So you think we can hijack the deal and get Xabi here?
Listen, I believe.
If you want entertaining football but finishing mid-table, go get Fordrup, who's just been sacked by Norwich. 71 goals.
Yeah,
that's a good point. That's a good point.
It is exciting football.
It is worth mentioning they've got strikers.
It was miserable when I went there and we lost 4-0, but I bet they fucking loved it.
Yeah, we played well.
I was going to say they were the only team that actually properly hammered us all season.
Genuinely.
Hammered us.
Yeah.
Well,
that goal music, I want to remember.
I feel like the discussion is naturally reaching an end. So I just want to say about the one signing that's been rumoured this week. Raider Lalawi from FUS Rabat in Morocco. He's going to join up with the under-21s initially. This, to me, screams another Bora Eidenlek. Joining up with the under-21s with the eventual ambition of being in the first team. Not a chance that pays off.
Balloomy, aren't we? That's what we're hoping.
Is this one a permanent though, Joe?
This
rather
one is
than
permanent,
Borat, seemed like a work experience job.
Yeah, Bora's was, his unpaid internship sort of stage of his career, and now he's in the Turkish third tier on loan for the past year. So he was clearly championship level. But for Lalawi, I do think that he's 20 years old. He can only play for the under-21s for a year. So how long does he really have? If we give him a 4-year deal, are we going to play him in the under-21s for a year? And then he's going to do what Matty Jacob did for a year, just where sort of floating about, going through the motions, maybe playing a few games in the academy and training with the first team regularly before hoping for a lucky break like Jacob had when Giles got injured at Leeds. And we had no left backs at Sheffield Wednesday on New Year's Day.
It'd be McLaughlin in first, though, wouldn't it?
Otherwise, I don't really see the point in this. He's been likened to Jude Bellingham in the way that he tries to drive through midfield with the ball at his feet in Morocco, but he's going to sign for Hull City's under-21s. That doesn't sound very Jude Bellingham-like to me when he was... Is Jude Bellingham 20 yet, or is he 21 now?
That's a good question.
I don't think it matters. Just comparing him to Jude Bellingham is probably a bad idea from the start.
Yeah.
21, turning 22 this summer.
When Jude Bellingham was 20, he was playing for Real Madrid. So I don't think there's quite the comparison to be made there.
No.
Bellingham's apparently worth $200 million.
Put the bid in.
Yeah. Swap deal Longman plus 200 million.
Cynic. Yeah. Cynic Longman.
What deal
and
Longman, who
150.
we don't even have?
Yeah, buy him back.
We can
and
figure it
everything
out.
with Swap. Longman's on more money at Wrexham than he was with us, apparently.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Hmm.
I don't know, guys. It's one of the... It's exhausting, isn't it? I'm drained.
It's all right. By the time we do the next episode, Rubén will still be in charge.
Hey,
True.
that's great. Yeah. No official announcement.
Like 3
We're
weeks
doing
of
Tiger
silence.
Talk on Wednesday at this rate, still waiting for a sacking announcement just in case it happens at 7 o'clock.
Of course, we are
Then the
doing
tenor
a
of the
end of
number
season
is-
review tomorrow, aren't we, with the Australians?
Oh shit, yeah, that is tomorrow, isn't it?
That is tomorrow.
It is
I
tomorrow.
kinda forgot already.
I don't know if that's been scheduled. Will you do that? Has that been scheduled? I mean, I'm the host, but I have no idea what's going on.
Should we be talking about this?
No, it doesn't matter.
gonna be a late
It's going to
episode.
come tomorrow to people's sub
You
boxes
can't,
anyway.
you can't show them all the sausage is made. You've got to keep this on the down low.
It'll be a late one.
Making us look like a bunch of imbeciles who... Oh, wait, we are.
You invited me
Yeah, I
on.
was gonna-
That's enough to show you.
Well, yeah, it's going to be a very late one. We're not recording until about 10:30 because we don't want the Aussies to wake up any earlier than
No.
7 a.m. Well, no, sorry, any earlier than 6 to get dressed and logged on at 7 a.m. to.
It's a weekend for them, isn't it?
So tune in at 10:30 tomorrow if you want. If
At
not,
night.
that's totally fine. Watch it on repeat on the YouTube. And yeah, that's where we are. We have, of course, got the charity quiz coming up in a couple of weeks on the 6th of June, Friday the 6th of June, starting at 7 p.m. at Old Zoological, one of our sponsors. So get yourself down there. We've got 50 questions, a bit of live podcast chat. It'll be a good night. Any money goes to charity as well. So
Yeah, all goes
it's
to
all for
Mind
good
charity.
cause.
So everyone should, if you want to go down, yeah, it's going to be on for a little while. Like I said, we're doing it live. What is it? 5 rounds? We're doing about 10 questions.
5 rounds,
Is
10 questions each.
Yeah.
is the prize who gets to be the next manager?
Oh,
I might purposely get questions wrong if that's the case.
I'd like
have-
to be the new manager if I get the salary.
That's a good point, actually. Yeah, I forgot about that.
we
All
should
the
of
salary,
course
but none of the
extend an olive
expectations.
branch. We should, of course, extend an olive branch to Liam Rossini, Rubén Sellés, James Oliver Pierce, Toby Loveland, if they fancy coming for a few drinks.
Come on, Grant.
We know Adrian
Make
likes
sure
Celebrate,
to-
get a promotion from League Two. Come back to City.
Tim's
Two
still in the
titles.
area. Tim still lives in the area, I believe. Let's get him down.
Veto that as well.
Yeah, we do
I bet
veto
Tim's
that.
delighted someone else got Hamburg promoted.
Oh dear.
That must have hurt.
Just one
That
thing
must
holding
have
them
hurt.
back all this time. Who knew? Who knew if you sack your ludicrously awful manager, you might do well? Who knew?
Wait a minute. Maybe Adrian's onto something.
Oh, no, don't say that. Well, I've been your host, Nathaniel, joined by Joe, Will, and Cristian. Tom, I think you've had a very good debut, so thanks for coming on. And just drop any of us a DM, and you just ask nicely, and you can come on. So,
I'm going to be like Cynic. This is my only appearance, and I'm injured, and I'm gone.
well, fortunately, we don't have to pay you quite as much as Cynic. So
You're not paying me.
you would be welcome back on.
Just on Cynic, by the way, at the estimated £34,000 a week for the 3 years of which he has been a Hull City player, we will have paid him £5.3 million.
Oh, well, as Dan says on the comments, make Uzzle manager.
It'd bring Macca Snellgrove back, that's for sure. Reality and justice would finally be
Uzzle and Wacker for the combination. It's like the Cowley brothers. A Hull's version.
Yeah, we really got to wrap this up. This is where this is going.
This is where it's going crazy, guys. Yeah, this is it.
Yeah.
We'll be back tomorrow with the Australians, if I'm even allowed to say that, for the end of the season review. So thank you very much for everyone for commenting in and putting up with us. And we'll be